Chapter 7. There's no turning back. The next day, you and Nico are at Harley's apartment, trying to come up with a plan for breaking into a restricted lab. For the last time, we're not using any explosives. Nico might have a point. We are trying to avoid drawing attention to ourselves. But can't we just... No. It would be... No. You're... I can do this all day. Alright, Captain America, calm down. You both need to... relax. Nico and Harley both gape at you. You're telling us to relax. Who are you and what have you done with Ward? Okay, maybe relax is the wrong word, but we do need to stay calm. And the two of you arguing like this definitely isn't helping. My apologies. Realistically, our biggest problem is going to be the Harleys and in LoveCorp's system. You need ID to get into any building. Maybe you and I go in first? We figure out a way to let Harley in through the back door? That might work. We'd have to do it at night, though. That way, most of the staff will be cleared out. Won't the guards think it's weird that I'm there, though? I know scientists sometimes work late, but love techs are strictly 9 to 5. Why don't we arrange a little promotion, then? We put you in the right disguise, and you in LoveCorp's finest over there. She gestures at Nico, grinning. You could pretend to be a high-up exec, and no one would even think to question it. That sounds pretty risky. I mean, wouldn't a security guard know who is and isn't a LoveCorp executive? Probably not, especially if it's an exec who doesn't work at their branch. You're telling me some employees don't have a binder with the entire C-suite's headshots, press clippings, and lunch preferences? Please tell me that's a joke, because if it's not... even I'm not that LoveCorp-obsessed Harley. Could have fooled me. There's one problem with this plan, though. I don't have a uniform that could pass for an exec's, and they don't exactly hand them out. You can't even buy them in the employee store. I might have a solution for that. She crosses the room and opens a hallway closet, revealing a cardboard box full of LoveCorp uniforms. Harley, where did you even get these? I took them off a LoveCorp truck before they were delivered, back when I still thought I had a chance of getting inside the building. Most of these are from a few seasons ago, but I'm sure you'll look so good that it'll be easy to fool the guards. Harley picks up one of the uniforms, a sleek white suit jacket and skirt with a fancy black top and gloves. What do you say? Up for a little method acting? Not a bad outfit. Buy this item. Looks like it's time to make my managerial debut. Hell yeah, I love synergy. You have no idea what that means, do you? Not even a little. You quickly head into her bathroom to change, and when you emerge, both of them stare at you in awe. Wow, that really suits you. What do you think, Harley? Am I corporate enough to set off your internal alarm bells? You look like you're about to fire me without warning. And I'd probably thank you for it. Exactly what I was going for. With any luck, this should make getting into the building without drawing suspicion much easier. Only one way to find out. Later that night, you and Nico step through the security checkpoint at the office, only for the guard on duty to stop you. Excuse me, ma'am. Your pulse quickens under scrutiny and you struggle to stay composed. Is there a problem? I've never seen you around here before, are you new? Nico places a reassuring hand on your back, smiling warmly at the guard. This is Erica, one of our regional managers. I'm surprised you haven't had a chance to meet. Erica, this is Eric. He works nights. Pleased to meet you. Corporate sent Erica down to assist with some urgent work, actually, so if you'll excuse us... Of course. Sorry to keep you. You both have a good night. With a final nod to the guard, you two of you head down the hall until you're out of sight. Guess look at the part paid off. You and Nico hurry through the halls until you reach the western side of the building, where Harley is waiting just outside the door. Any problems yet? We got past security, but hard to say. You trail off as you spot someone approaching, a befuddled-looking janitor with a bucket and a mop. Well, what's going on over here? We were just stretching our legs. We've been chasing a deadline and we still got a few hours of work left, but we needed a break. And some fresh air, which is why our friend here was standing outside. Andrew looks over at Harley, who's still dressed in her street clothes, no badge inside. Hey, Neo, how's the missus? She's loving that fancy necklace you brought us, even though I remember specifically telling you that payment wasn't required. Harley waves a dismissive hand. Least I could do, man. Look, as much as I'd love to stay and catch up. No, you all go on. I never saw anything. He mimes, zipping his lips, and puts a pair of headphones on while the three of you quickly rush down the hall. The janitor's a friend of yours? Sort of. He's my LoveCorp contact. He's been passing me information for a few months now. Information like who Chloe Campbell's interviewer was? She finally turns to you, still avoiding your gaze, as she gives a quick nod. So, you did your research, that makes sense. What else did he tell you about me? She winces. Neo may have told me how to access your test scores. That's it. She winces again. I may have asked him to follow you around for a bit, to pin down your routine. What the hell, Harley? I didn't know where he at, okay? We can talk about this later. Right now we need to stay focused, figure out how we're going to get into the restricted labs. Well, I don't think I have a high enough security clearance to just walk in, so we'll need the override code. But my boss keeps a hard copy somewhere near her desk in the main lab. Then, that's where we go. The two of you follow Nico down the stairs to the laboratory, only to find one of his coworkers packing up. Astrid, you're working late tonight. Yeah, I had some stuff to catch up on. She hoists her work bag over one shoulder and smiles politely at you. Well, I should get going. But before she can reach the door, she spots Harley and her forehead creases in confusion. Who's your friend? Damn it, we almost had her. She's an intern. Astrid's eyebrows raised. Yep, that's me, just here for the college credit. Interns don't usually work this late. No offense, but you seem kind of old for a college student. Really? Really, how old does she look? She took a gap year. Years, actually. And she's shadowing me as part of a special program. Astrid purses her lips, but shrugs. Well, good luck. LoveCorp interns get put through the ringer. And we'll see you tomorrow, Nico. Bright and early. The door clicks shut behind her. You all breathe a sigh of relief. Okay, let's find this code and get the hell out of here. Preferably before we get interrupted again. Yeah, why didn't she wear any LoveCorp merch, Oh, keep an eye out for any 7-digit number. My boss leaves her files all over the lab, so it could be anywhere. Erica, maybe see what you can find in the internal database? My computer's right over there. On it. As Nico and Harley begin searching through the lab, you take a seat at Nico's computer. But as you bring up the internal server, you notice a number of recently submitted files with your name on them. Has Nico been sending LoveCorp information about me? Stomach churning, you turn to face him. Nico, tell me this isn't what it looks like. Because from where I'm sitting, it looks a lot like you've been secretly giving LoveCorp info on me. What? No, why would you think that? He peers at the screen, brow furrowing when he sees the files. Those are just the surveys we've been filling out. What surveys? He tilts his head to one side, puzzled. It surveys about our behavior as additional research for LoveCorp? I haven't filled out any surveys, Nico. His face falls, looking genuinely distraught. But they told me that we were both doing them. We weren't supposed to talk about it because it would screw with the data. You really believe that? It seemed like a normal request when they first asked, but now with everything else... He turns to you, eyes pleading. I'm so sorry, Erica, I swear, I didn't know. I never thought they'd openly lie to me like that. But that doesn't change the fact that I've been basically helping to spy on you. I mean, if... I get his perspective, right? If they're saying, hey, everybody does this, and she's doing it too, and he's just filling in a survey, I mean... He's gullible, but, you know... You couldn't have known how deep this all went, especially back when they first asked you to do this. Like you said, it seemed like a normal request. But isn't that the point? I mean, I was so willing to follow LoveCorp's lead that I didn't even question it or anything, really. If you had, that would have just put a target on your back. Still, I should have realized before now that it was just another ploy. There's no point in looking back. All we can do now is move forward and try to be better. I will, I promise. What kind of questions were in the surveys, anyway? I mean, my whole life story is already in LoveCorp file. How much more could they want to know? It's all pretty mundane at the beginning. There were a few questions about your health, which I thought was weird. But when I asked my boss, she just said that they were concerned about you after what happened with Chloe, and I was too, so... So you spilled everything. Not everything. I didn't tell them about you. Not when I knew it could incriminate Erica. Oh. Well, thanks, I guess. Even if you weren't doing it for me. Harley turns away to continue searching for the code, giving you and Nico some space. I know I can't go back and change what I did, Erica, but if you want, I can show you the surveys, all of them. You'll know exactly what LoveCorp knows. Show them to me. I want to know everything. Nico nods, his expression carefully blank as he leans over your shoulder and opens the first of the surveys. Survey 1. What was your first impression of your partner? I thought Erica was the most beautiful woman I'd ever seen. But I'd spotted her around the office before, so I knew that part already. It was everything else that I wasn't prepared for. The first time we spoke, all I could think about was how smart she was and how driven. She's also kind of funny, and kind and funny, and confident. To be honest, it feels like I made her up, and this is all just a dream. You really thought all that about me? Why is it unbelievable? Nico lets out a surprised laugh, rubbing the back of his neck. I figured it was obvious how awestruck I was with you by the first night. The surveys were kind of a nice in that respect. It was like I had someone I could share everything with. I know what you mean. I told Inari all about it as soon as I got home. Too bad my someone turned out to be a corporation with nefarious intentions, which is, less nice. Well, I'm reading it now, so in a way, you were also sharing it with me. It's somehow better, and also a million times worse. You glance back at the surveys, looking over the questions. You said you thought I was filling these out too, right? Well, yeah, but now I know that wasn't true. Still, I think it's only fair if I answered some of the questions. You nudge his knee with your own, and he gives you a fond smile. Okay then, what was your first impression of me? I thought you were good-looking, down-to-earth, smart. I like how the only thing that has a heart next to it is good-looking. I'm not gonna do good looking. I'm gonna do down to earth. No, you know what? Actually, I'm gonna do smart. He is actually smart. He is a scientist after all. Well, at least I didn't make a total fool of myself. Not at all. I knew as soon as we met, we're built from the same stuff. Well, workaholism and corporate Kool-Aid. Among other things. I didn't even know you at the time, but I could tell just... you were brilliant. Turning back to the computer, you open up the second survey and start to read. Survey 2. What are your partner's known ailments, mental and physical? Mental and physical ailments unknown. Do you have any reason to suspect your partner is unhappy with your pairing? No, at least I don't think so. Question 3. Has your partner been happy at work? And if not, what do you suspect the root cause to be? Well, Erica's overall attitude towards work hasn't changed as far as I could tell. Erica has been a bit melancholy, but this seems understandable as she's had a few rough days at work recently. Wow, you're right. These questions are odd. You said you asked your boss about them? Yeah, and I got, that canned response about Chloe's scan causing your potential distress and them needing to keep an eye on it. Still, I couldn't understand why. They were asking me about all this. It was your health, after all. I bet they thought I'd be more honest with you. I was already putting pieces together. You would be more honest with your partner, or at least I'd hope some of you would be. They figured I'd probably lie if they asked me anything directly. And they were hoping you could tell them how far gone I was, whether it was worth trying to get me compliant. I guess they decided that it was... well, that's why Oscar told me to get you to stop asking questions. You scroll all the way down to the most recent survey from just a day ago. Survey 6, question 1. Where was your partner on the evening of September 25th? This is very specific. I was with Eric all night on that day. We met up at LoveCorp charity gala and spent a few hours there. Afterwards, she didn't feel well, so we went back to my apartment and watched Air Blasters 2 blast to the moon. Erica fell asleep on my couch and didn't leave my apartment until early in the morning. I walked her back to her own place, and we parted ways at approximately 5 a.m. after curfew had lifted. Nico, what's with the story? I went to Harley's after the gala. Yeah, but they don't need to know that. I know that, but I don't think LoveCorp needed to. Especially after the conversation I had with Oscar. Nico, you didn't have to cover for me. They probably knew I was with Harley already. They were sussing out your loyalty, not mine. Nico shrugs. Maybe, but on the off chance LoveCorp didn't know where you were, I wasn't going to be one to tell them. I was afraid it would get you into more trouble or put you in danger. Nico. I can't believe you did that for me. He reaches out and puts his hand on top of yours. You're my soulmate. I'd do anything for you, Erica. If something were to happen to you, I couldn't bear it. I don't want anything happening to you either, alright? So don't take any unnecessary risks. He gives your hand a quick squeeze as he smiles at you. You're a very necessary risk. Scrolling further down the last survey, you reach the final question. Question 5. What are your current feelings, romantic or otherwise, towards your partner? Well, it's funny, we've known each other for such a short time, and it normally takes a while before I get or feel comfortable around new people, but I feel like I've known Erica my whole life. It's crazy to say, but I already care for her so much. I've never felt this way before. It's like she consumes my every thought. Slowly, you turn to look at Nico, whose expression is unreadable. I told you already that it felt nice to have a place to share how I was feeling. I'm sorry if any of this makes you uncomfortable, but I meant every word I wrote. I don't think we've had, well, I'm just gonna go, you don't need to apologize. I don't know how I feel about him. I'm not uncomfortable, but even these last few days have changed so much. What I believe, what I want, I need time to figure out who I am, and before I can figure out how I feel. I understand. Take all the time you need. With an air of finality, you exit out of the survey folder. Well, there, all caught up on what LoveCorp knows. Now we just have to break into a restricted lab. Should be easy compared to this. Across the room, Harley lets out an enthusiastic whoop. I think I found the code. Nico's boss had a post-it inside some boring science book. 7-digit number, right? That's the one. Come on, the restricted labs are this way. You know what we should do? Come on, Pixelberry. Make us remember that 7-digit code. Just saying. You and Harley follow Nico out of the lab and down a series of seemingly never-ending hallways. Call me crazy, but I'm getting the sense they don't want anyone to be able to find these restricted labs. I'm guessing that most people don't even know that they're here. My boss is the only person I've ever heard mention them, and I've never met anyone who works there. Your boss just told you about it? We're going into a trap, aren't we? Most likely. She usually brings it up as a morale booster, mentioning all the great work that's happening just down the hall from us. I always figured it was a ploy to increase our team's productivity. So, you are capable of being suspicious? Of course, but I never thought there was a full-scale lab operating in total secrecy. Not until recently, anyway. Seems like we're finding a lot of things we thought were impossible are actually happening. When you finally reach the door to the restricted lab, Harley turns to both of you. Are you too sure about this? Because the moment we step through the door, there's no turning back. We're a little past that point. We've already snuck you in the building, went snooping through Nika's lab, and we passed the point of no return a long time ago. Which is why we need to see this through. With a nod, Harley plugs in the code and the door slides open with a whoosh, revealing a high-tech laboratory. So, this is where they're funneling the big bucks. That's DNA on the screen. It makes the rest of our tech look like the Stone Age. They're basically hiding another industrial revolution down there. Why not give everyone access? I think of more than a few reasons. None of them good. The three of you step deeper in the lab, where at least a dozen brain scanners are hooked up. Harley frowns. Those look like prototypes, but I thought they nailed down the helmet tech a long time ago. Maybe they want the scanners to do more. They're figuring out safety issues. They want the scanners to do more. The current helmets just collect data, how your brain reacts to questions, visuals, but maybe they want them to do something more active. You mean like brainwashing? A few days ago, I would have said it was more like likely some kind of tool to treat PTSD. There have been some studies on that in the past, but now I know better. Crossing to the nearest computer, you turn it on and begin sifting through the files. All the Project Prometheus files are listed under LoveCorp 4. That must be the 4th LoveCorp building I read about in those contractor docs. You open a file labeled Headset Findings, and you can hardly immediately peer over your shoulder to read along. Headset Findings. When the subject wears the new Love Vision helmet, the back-end scanner technology channels electrical currents into the brain. This enables the company to target specific neurons and nerve clusters to achieve the desired result, otherwise known as the subject's trained response. Our initial testing has found that this type of direct current interference can make subjects 89% more agreeable to presented material. Given the success of these findings, we plan to roll out the updated Love Vision helmets for use in all subsets of the company, effective immediately. Does this mean what I think it means? Yeah, they control who you love. You can love anything. Look, a wall! Oh my god, I'm in love! It means that LoveCorp has been brainwashing us. When was this written? Scrolling up, you spot the date at the top of the document. 2016. It was nearly 30 years ago. Well, I'll be damned. LoveCorp has been brainwashing people for 3 full decades. And so probably Chloe was one person they couldn't brainwash. Because remember, it's 89%, so there's 11% of people that do this shit that are resistant or immune. All this time, the program we thought was helping us find love was just another tool for LoveCorp to control us. Everything I believed is a lie. I wouldn't say you don't know who you are, but I'm going to make LoveCorp pay. They've been lying to us, manipulating us for years, and they were going to just get away with it? We have to stop them. And the best way to do that is to learn everything we can about what they've been doing and why. I worked on this tech. Hell, I even helped build some of these prototypes. I helped hurt people. You were just a cog in a machine, Hassan. LoveCorp's the one who's really responsible. Harley starts to collect more files, her eyes growing wider as she reads. Then, when she next speaks, her voice is barely a whisper. So, it does have something to do with targeted neurons. And they're much further along than I thought. Wait, you knew they were doing this? She probably assumed. I suspected. I just never had proof. Harley, how did you even find out? I mean, if people like me and Nico, who worked here, didn't know, how could you? Well, I figured they were doing something sketchy with the brain based on the symptoms I was seeing in people. And for the rest... She looks at you for a long moment and then turns away. Well, look, I'll tell you soon, just not now. This is exactly what I need. Hell, I've been looking for proof like this for years. And you can do something with it? Something to help us put a stop to it? What we've got now should be enough, but there are other files on the computer. If we take a few minutes to comb through them, then we'd have the full story of Project Prometheus. At the very least, you'd know as much as anyone who works in the lab. And the more we know about what LoveCorp has been doing, the better prepared we'll be to tear it down. Need to know more. I want to know all of it. You take a deep breath and turn back to the computer screen, looking over the files there. Alright, so... First, how the project started. Project Prometheus began as a response to one of LoveCorp's earliest friction points. As the Soulmate program grew more popular, finding the one for every client became increasingly difficult. The pool of candidates became too broad for employees to search through by hand. The clients complained when their partner didn't match them perfectly. At first, the company attempted to troubleshoot these issues on a case-by-case basis, but eventually, a more iterative approach was required. Our scientists conducted experiments on whether individuals could be trained to overlook minor issues with a potential partner. Because our brain scan technology was advanced at a rapid rate, we were able to integrate these experiments directly into the scans. After a substantial amount of trial and error, we eventually discovered how to adjust the small preferences. For instance, we could modify an individual's favorite vacation spot or what habits annoy them. Vacation spot. That's a standard intake question. Yeah, the one Chloe failed on. The tech must still be spotty, though. That was a question that Chloe struggled with right before she had her nose bleed. It could also be that her brain was becoming resistant to the adjustments after overusing the tech at her job. That resistance might have been even started on a subconscious level. If you've been answering the same question for 12 years and get nowhere, you're bound to start having suspicions. I want to read about its goals. At first, the company's ambitions were humble, intending to give more people a shot at finding love. But as the technology began to advance, we realized its full potential. Imagine a world where everyone is perfectly happy, in a loving, stable relationship, wanting for nothing. Of course, such a world can only exist if humans are agreeable and generally dislike conflict. Our brain scans can make it so. Our technology will improve life for everyone, finally establishing a utopia that LoveCorp's forefathers dreamed of. But to achieve this, we must expand business operations to sectors that encourage jealousy, competition, namely median products. Following this expansion, we plan to redacted see on-site file at LoveCorp 4. Expand business operations to median products? What does that even mean? Basically subliminal BS. You love these potato chips. You may hate them, but you love them now that you've seen a commercial for them. That LoveCorp wants to monopolize over human emotion. Bingo. But that's impossible. You can't just make people happy all the time. You can if you screw with their brains. You can't make anyone happy for real, but for the average person, simulated happiness will feel close enough. Pretty much, yes. Brain training uses. Thus far, the primary use of a brain training had been to make candidates for the Soulmate program better suited into one another. As we expected, this is far easier to accomplish on individuals who already share a high level of compatibility. However, we found that it is possible to rework the personalities of couples with zero compatibility. The process is long, arduous, but yields promising results. Recent tests have also been done to see what other areas of life we could alter. We can, for instance, make the public averse to certain areas or ideas. Under the right circumstances, we're even able to activate the client's trained response in moments where a scanner isn't present. Yeah, kind of like when she was talking to Oscar, and remember how all of a sudden just BAM! Migraines. Make the public averse to certain areas or ideas. Harley, do you think that's what happened to me when we went to Philia Heights? I always figure the Philia Heights thing was a natural response, like LoveCorp said the area was bad, but so people believe them. But maybe I didn't give them enough credit. Maybe people were questioning LoveCorp's narrative, so they had to double down. The last part about activating the client's trained response without a scanner sounds concerning. Hang on, maybe that's what happened to me at the gala. Look at that! I literally called it out the minute that happened. I said it was very suspicious. I was just talking with Oscar when suddenly I got that migraine, some kind of migraine that the brain scans can cause. Harley lets out a long whistle. Being able to achieve compliance over any LoveCorp client at any time, who knows what kind of tech could do at that scale? Complications to the process. Unfortunately, every brain is different, and not every brain responds well to electrical stimuli. In general, data has shown that more frequent exposure to brain training tends to result in damage to the brain's frontal lobe and amygdala. The impact of this damage can vary, but most frequently presents as headaches, migraines, or nosebleeds. In rare cases, side effects can include cancer and stroke. Oh my god! Or death from literally a brain aneurysm like Chloe. Just, you might want to add that to the LoveCorp's current brain scan cadence. One scan every few months has allowed us to conduct follow-up training while limiting risks. Incidentally, while some concerns have been raised about the possibility of a client undoing their training, we've yet to see any conclusive evidence. You're telling me that the whole time they knew people might die from these scans? And they kept doing them anyway? Not only that, but they allowed their own employees to have prolonged exposure to tech that could kill them. And it did kill Chloe. I feel like I'm gonna be sick. I never could have connected the dots, but everything that happened with Chloe makes sense now. Let me just copy this information to a USB and then we get the hell out of here. But as Harley is porting the files... Yeah. You didn't think that would be a thing? A blaring alarm goes off, the lights all around you flashing red. We have to go now. Harley yanks the USB out of the computer and the three of you rush back out into the hall, only to hear a whole troop of guards heading your direction. Fan out, they're here somewhere. This way. Nico leads you through the maze of hallways until you finally burst outside, not stopping till the LoveCorp building is out of sight. What do we do now? We keep moving. It's not safe to stay here. You mean we're... Yeah, we're leaving the city. I mean, really not shocked by that. Without further ado, please remember to like the video if you did enjoy what I do, share it, and leave a comment down below letting me know your thoughts. So everybody, thought this was going to be another, what was it, perfect match, right? Where, they were androids or whatever. And I'm sitting here going, ta-da! It's not really something original. It's been done in TV and movies, right? But it's okay. It's okay. Again, I called it with Chloe, I called it with Oscar, I called it with several things. So again, it's an interesting book. It's not bad, but it's not great. I guess we'll have to see, but it's also interesting how, I mean, this is, for those of you who aren't a science buff or whatnot, this is actually something that is, I mean, they used to do studies about this stuff back in, like, the 40s, 50s, 60s, and, like, ever since then, there were ways of, doing subliminal things on the screen or in noises or whatnot. It's why I'll be honest with you, I've noticed as of late, there has been, and for me, I can't stand it, and I know the minute I tell you this, you're going to be like, yep, nope. Those shows, it typically will happen during, like, TV shows. It's rare in a movie, but in TV shows, the tinnitus sound, you know what I'm talking about? And sometimes they'll get worse. What was it? Black Mirror. They had an episode. Yeah, no, I just started Black Mirror. I've never watched that shit in my entire life, but they had that thing where, if you guys remember the one about the contestant, or, well, the person on the bike, and he became a contestant, yada, yada, yada. And it was, like, they did the whole increasing the high-pitched noise if you went to cover your eyes from the commercials. So it was either you went through horrible pain or watched the commercial. And that was literally and figuratively how it was. And so I think of things like that. And then also, I'm sure you guys have, I'm sure some of you have experienced where just sometimes you'll be sitting there, all of a sudden there's just, dee will kick up just in your head. And sometimes it'll even blare out, like, noises and anything around you, and you're like, what the hell was that from? Like, there's no loud noise, you weren't just whatever. It was like something just pressed a button in your head. And it's like, I don't know why that's doing that. I've watched some people make little things about it. Being like, this means this, or this means this, or, whatever. Again, it's always interesting to think about these things. But, I just am not a huge fan of those noises. I don't watch much television. I really don't. I do it in passing. If someone's got a TV on, I'll look over, or a doctor's office or something. But otherwise, I don't do the whole TV thing. I don't do a lot of the doom scrolling either. I try and avoid that. And I'm sure a lot of you are going, yeah, no, you can pull up a certain, thing, and you're doom scrolling until like 6 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning. You're like, where did all the hours go? And holy shit, I didn't sleep. So I know there's a lot of people who go through that. And you can't be telling me there isn't something weird. You can't tell me there isn't something weird about all that. Right? Just saying. Anyway, thanks for watching. Catch y'all later. Peace out.